Little first task. This is the Handheld Learning Conference, and they're feeling a sort of great sense of self-esteem. So they're feeling very happy, very motivated in a sort of learning environment. And once they've got that, they're getting towards a point of being sort of a self-actualization. They can engage with things like Second Life. They're very sophisticated, very au fait with using all of this. They've got their connectivity, they've got their power supply, they're feeling comfortable with talking to people, they've got their friends, they've got their self-esteem, technological self-esteem. So they are comfortable in their learning environment. So what happens when a student comes in? And typically we tell them to turn off their phone or turn off their mobile devices. Well, they don't even get to the point where they're worried about connectivity because we've just told them to disconnect everything and to just focus on my PowerPoint presentation. So when you do that to a student, when you say come into a location and turn off your devices, you're killing some level of their digital motivation. So what can proximity communications do to help with this? Bluetooth is technology that has a short range, typically has a short range wireless transmission of about 30 feet. From this device here, it costs about $4.99 from Amazon, 30 feet. It's a little dongle, which you can't see on here, which has a range of around 100 feet that I've attached to my laptop. So one of the things that would be quite nice for me to be able to do is for our students to come into my classroom and turn on their devices, and for me to be able to communicate and send them some useful information to those devices. So I could send them things like course summaries, I could send them some calendar events, I could send them some assessment files, I could send them some e-books, and I can start getting some level of engagement with their mobile devices. So, here's my class of students, and ideally what I would like to do is set up a white list of my class. So I've just got a list of the students in my class. I use my Bluetooth device to send out the information I want to their mobile phones. So at the end of this lesson, they can go away with a summary of my course I've just delivered. Those students that have got Bluetooth on their phones can just take that away and walk and carry it around the building with them. If I extend the scope of Bluetooth, you may not be so familiar with it, but there are solutions that allow you to broadcast Bluetooth over your campus. So for my laptop here, I could choose to broadcast selected messages to various parts of my campus. Students on my whitelist will receive those files. Students who weren't in my class that have arrived late, who weren't even in the lesson or came in the next day, will automatically be targeted by the Bluetooth server and sent the files. The nice thing about the software is that all of the communication is logged, so I get a complete list of all the communications that I've sent to my students, whether they receive them, when they receive them, and who receives them. So let's just try something. For those of you that have got Bluetooth enabled, let me find my little application. Okay, so let's enable this. This is one of the many little programs you can download from the web. And typically these ones are used by commercial organizations, really for marketing in situations like cinemas and for shop retailing agencies. And what I'm just going to do is to enable one or two of these little campaigns. Let's delete one. And in a moment, some of you will start receiving some messages, and you can choose to accept them. Now, some of those little devices, I'll show you what I've just created. Taking a standard PowerPoint presentation, I can turn my PowerPoint slides into a series of picture files. Picture files can be turned into a little single file in a GIF file, and then easily Bluetoothed out to the class. So some of you will have just received a little GIF file containing a short summary of today's lesson. You also might be receiving a calendar event. So if you've received a calendar event on your phone, you'll find that if you accept it, it will embed itself directly into the phone's calendar. So as a tutor or as a department head, I could choose to broadcast out the term dates for my course or the assignment dates for my course to the students' mobile devices, and they'll receive them directly embedded into their mobile device. As a student, that's quite nice. It means I walk away from this lesson with the summary of today's lesson. I receive some web links, I receive the notes, I perhaps see the summary dates for the assessment deadlines, and it's all embedded in my phone. This is the software. It's identified a whole range. At the moment, it's using a blacklist, so it's picking up every Bluetooth device that's around here, so there are people outside this room that are getting it. But I could choose to create a whitelist and just have the selected members inside this room receiving them. Here's a summary of what's been happening so far. So 8 people have accepted the FAST. 8 people have accepted it. There have been 8 rejections and 16 total acknowledgements of that particular file for today. So then I can choose to look at any dates over the last calendar events. And I can also schedule these events. So if I've got files or information I want to share with students later in the week, I can set up a little schedule on this program and arrange for it to be sent out at next week's lesson or next week when I'm away for the period. How does this help with transformation? Well, for the tutor in the classroom, I've got the ability to send information directly to people's address books. I can send out the assessment documents, reference materials, and the e-books directly to most people's phones. So students can receive the e-books that I've created. It allows me to address students once, even in my class, I can still access them. I know which students received it. And in terms of the transformational technology, it's technology that works with most Bluetooth-enabled devices. So it works across platform. So whether the students have got a particular device on or mobile phone, it will work with almost any mobile phone that they have. With the exceptions that presently on Android and iPhones, but they will change over time. As an organization, I could choose to use this technology to broadcast out things like open day organization dates. I could send out videos showcasing students' good work, student opportunities, course dates. LRCs are using this in some ways, or starting to look at this for developing little LRC guides that students can carry around on their device while they walk around the LRC or the library. It's also possible to send out little short instructional guides that the students can view and carry on their mobile phones. So this is using the phone as a vehicle for change. And you'll find that with the introduction of new technologies, things like, who uses Twitter? Does anyone use Twitter in here? There must be loads of people that use Twitter. And there are people that have come across Twitter and perhaps not very familiar with it. Can I ask someone who's heard of Twitter but doesn't use it, what they think of it? What do you think of Twitter?
Well, I don't use it, so yeah, I'm not, from an educational perspective, I'm not sure of the use of it.
Okay. So initially, when you come across new technology, you tend to go to a sort of point of common view, where you have a common view of the technology, something like Twitter. We tend to think of initially as a sort of fairly banal sort of activity, doesn't do a great deal. Most people just tweet what they're doing in terms of having a coffee, and educational value is fairly minimal. Once you become aware of some of its potential, you start to gain some expectations about it, and you become more aware of its value. And in the same way with Bluetooth technology, most people think of it as a fairly incidental, ineffectual piece of technology because it's Bluetooth, because it's only got a 10-foot radius, because it's got some issues with connectivity. But in terms of its potential for engaging across campus with all the students and allowing them to become more proactively engaged in terms of using their devices, the potential is huge. Because if I'm asking my students to turn on their devices and receive files and receive the information that I'm sending them as a tutor at the end of this lesson, how many students will be interested in doing that? And as they start to receive files and as they become familiar with using or coming to my lessons and enabling their Bluetooth devices, the trend will be that they will want to use their Bluetooth devices or their mobile phones across campus. And that's the start of trying to enable students to use or motivate students to use those devices right across campus and engage them in terms of using their mobile devices. A couple of the more advanced developments with Bluetooth. Here we've got some broadcasting servers that can be placed around the campus. So as a tutor, I can direct the information that I want to be sent to, say, the cafeteria or to the reception area or to the LRC. And then we've also got some Bluetooth touch devices. So if I want to authenticate what students are accessing devices, I can place a Bluetooth touch device at a particular location, and the student can simply go up to it, touch it with their phone, and they will be sent the information to their phone. And then as a tutor, I receive the full log of that communication. So the potential for transmitting information, for trying to get students to start working with their mobile phones and changing the culture is very powerful. So this has been my kind of a lesson at the moment, and if I'm sending out this information and asking you to take away information using Bluetooth, does that change your behavior? I'll stop there. Any questions you might have?
I've got a question for you, Adam. Problems with devices, Bluetooth, being negative ones. Issues around unsolvable problems with certain kinds of devices you've alluded to a couple of them?
Only in terms of the progress of the technology. So Bluetooth Standard 3 is coming out. I think the standard's been developed this year, and the technology will be rolling out in terms of the mobile devices next year, I would imagine. And in terms of Android and the iMac and the iPhones, I would only think that they would be standardized over time. So there are some issues, but they are being standardized.
Anybody using Bluetooth anywhere else in the audience? I think it's an interesting technology that is there, here and now. Some interesting teething problems, and I think that's why I asked the question. It seems to be becoming much more widely used, certainly in the advertising market, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And in terms of education, the one company that has started to produce an educational program is TextBlue. So they've started to create a program that allows you to create whitelists. Up till now, the only programs that you'll find in the commercial market will be ones that have been designed really for marketing purposes, for retail outlets and so on. and they just have blacklists. But with a whitelist, it's now possible for me to set up a class list and just target my class when they walk into the classroom.
Can I just say that I think the notion of allowing students to switch on their mobiles in the classroom would provoke sort of shock horror.
I think in terms of, yeah, it does actually. In terms of suggesting to students when they walk into a classroom, they turn on their phones, it does. It has that effect all the time. But in terms of being a tutor, it's me trying to manage the technology and trying to manage the sort of pedagogy that goes over that technology. So when students walk into a classroom and it's filled up with computers, I need to manage that. I need to manage whether they turn them on, what sites they go and look at, whether they're facing me. It's a case of me as a tutor managing the technology in the classroom. That's my personal view.
A lot of people have been challenged by Bluetooth because of its security issues. What behaviours do you recommend? Because what you're advocating is everyone has Bluetooth switched on wherever they go, across their campus, and they receive this information coming out. If they do that, then they're able to receive Bluetooth from loads of other people unless they particularly care.
True.
So what do you advocate to get that?
It's actually a case of educating the students. So if you're going to start enabling this process with a class of students, you would need to educate them about why they would want to use Bluetooth and how to use their mobile phone. So for example, if you send me a file on my phone now, I'll get an acknowledgement that the file is coming in, and it's for me to say yes or no whether I want to receive that from you. So it's enabling, or a case of trying to educate the students about using those sort of particular methods to manage their own phones. So if I send you a file now on your phone, it's possible for you to set up an authorization trigger on your phone so that you don't receive unnecessary Bluetooth communications.